Chapter 1. Change is inevitable, and to survive, you must be ready to develop new strategies to cope. As we make giant scientific strides, we're beginning to understand just how unique the brain is. Discoveries show that it undergoes different changes throughout an individual's life, which are responsible for our adaptability function. There have been many debates about what the mind and the brain have in common and to what extent they differ, but optimizing both for our complete well-being is the most important thing. Every day, our minds and brains interact to give us a complete life experience. We need this to be healthy. Keep in mind that your social connections shape the neural connections that form the structure of your brain. Research shows that we can ensure better relationships with others and ourselves when we stop being judgmental and start being present. These characteristics are the results of a reformed social circuit in the brain. The authors have woven together Buddhist practices developed over 2,000 years and new insights into the workings of the brain to offer you this guide to intentionally creating these positive changes. This practical guide walks you step by step through awakening your mind. Chapter 2. Changes in the brain mean changes in other parts of the body. Any change in the mind leads to a change in the brain, so even the slightest thoughts can lead to long-lasting changes. Usually, each neuron in the brain receives about 5,000 connections called synapses from other neurons. A neuron relies on a rush of chemicals called neurotransmitters to get a signal. These neurotransmitters tell the neuron what to do. Each neural signal carries information, and the nervous system transfers that information from one point to another. The many pieces of information carried around the nervous system make up the mind. Remember, your mind comprises knowledge, dreams, hopes, and information from neurons. Neurons make a lasting connection to each other due to mental activity. It's how you remember things. Your brain doesn't work in isolation, but exchanges information with other systems in your body and the environment. The environment plays a crucial role in shaping your beliefs and experiences, and can sometimes matter more than genetics. For a more wholesome life experience, you must never restrict yourself to one culture. Explore different places, learn new things, and try to figure out your identity. Did you know the brain is 3 pounds of tissue containing 1.1 trillion cells, including 100 billion neurons? Chapter 3. A person grows when they're open to new knowledge and experiences. If you want to become a better individual, taking notes from those who have already succeeded could be helpful. Research shows that contemplative practitioners have mastered the art of happiness, clarity, and peace. There are many contemplative traditions worldwide, but Buddhism has the closest relationship with science. Buddhism doesn't require its people to believe in God, and its model of the mind also works well with principles in neurology and psychology. Over 2,000 years ago, a young man named Siddhartha, not yet called the Buddha, trained his mind for many years. After a while, he discovered the causes of suffering and his path to freedom. Then, for 40 years, he wandered northern India, teaching people about virtue, mindfulness, and wisdom. These 3 concepts formed the major principles of Buddhism and have fast become the secrets of psychological growth. Virtue involves channeling your actions, thoughts, and words toward benefits rather than evil. When you practice mindfulness, you pay close attention to the things happening in the internal and external parts of you. The brain learns new things and makes fresh connections based on the information it is exposed to. Therefore, mindfulness can be the gateway to your positive or negative experiences. Wisdom simply means good judgment. You can get wisdom by understanding the difference between good and evil and focusing on the good. Don't forget that self-realization happens with time, effort, and skill. Virtue, mindfulness, and wisdom are supported by the brain's 3 fundamental functions: regulation, learning, and selection. Your brain regulates itself and other bodily systems through a combination of excitatory and inhibitory activities. The brain learns by either strengthening or weakening existing circuits or forming new ones. It also has the ability to choose any experience it has learned, to value any experience it has learned. These 3 functions, regulation, learning, and selection, operate at all levels of the nervous system and are involved in any important mental activity. Chapter 4. Humans have evolved over time and have developed strategies to handle life situations better. Life comes with different troubles ranging from loneliness to disappointment, stress to anger, and sickness to confusion. This whole range of emotions can be described as suffering. Life began many million years ago, and the nervous system has experienced a number of changes in these years to adapt to the situation. To cope with these changes in the body and the environment, humans developed 3 fundamental strategies for survival. They created separations to form boundaries between themselves and the world, and between one mental state and another. They maintained stability to keep physical and mental systems in a healthy balance. Finally, they approached opportunities and avoided threats to gain things that promote offspring and escape or resist things that don't. Keep in mind, evolution builds on pre-existing capabilities and ensures that everyone is better able to cope. The three strategies have ensured man's continuous survival on Earth. Since everything keeps changing, different signals keep coming. Your brain colors your experiences with different tones, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So you'll approach what's pleasant, avoid what's unpleasant, and move on from what's neutral. In particular, humans have evolved to pay great attention to unpleasant experiences. Even when pleasant resources are abundant, it is not strange to find that many people remain stuck on what they do not have. Happiness is a daily choice. It is you against the many unpleasant experiences of the world, and you always have to go for the things that make you smile. It might be difficult to shift your attention from the unpleasant, but remember that your choices can affect your health and emotions. Chapter 5. Your reaction to a stimulus can either make things better or worse. You have to choose carefully. Uncomfortable situations are signs that you must protect yourself against a potentially dangerous stimulus. But some mental distress is inevitable. For example, we evolved to care deeply about people's reactions to our actions. According to Buddha, the first dart of a person's existence is the unavoidable discomfort. First darts are unpleasant, but they must come as long as you are alive. On experiencing a first dart, we react in different ways, which are second darts, the ones we create. It is our reaction that leads to suffering. For instance, if you hit your foot on a chair, in addition to the initial pain, the first dart, you might become angry at your children for leaving the chair out, the second dart. Second darts can lead to a series of negative events due to the brain's associative neural networks. They can also break relationships and trigger reactions from your loved ones. It is important to note that a second dart can occur even when no first dart is present. So it is up to you to decide whether or not your reactions will control your life. Keep in mind, suffering does not happen in a vacuum. Your body feels the effects too. Understanding the physical pathways of suffering will help you have a more holistic view of the concept. Nobody wants to suffer, but it is not worth getting mad about. Suffering moves through the body via the sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, and the endocrine system's hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPAA. The amygdala sets off immediate alarms, and the thalamus sends a signal to the brainstem to release stimulating norepinephrine throughout the brain. The SNS sends signals to the body's major organs and muscle groups, readying them for fighting or fleeing. The hypothalamus then triggers the pituitary gland, which signals the adrenaline glands to release the stress hormones, epinephrine and cortisol. Getting fired up for a good reason, such as handling emergencies, can be very useful. But it is important not to allow second darts to trigger your nervous system. It only leads to stress. Chapter 6. It takes a deliberate effort to prevent your life from being overpowered by negative emotions. The food you eat builds your body, but your experiences build your mind. Although you might forget the experiences that have led you to the present day because they'll forever remain unconscious. These unconscious thoughts are called implicit memory and include your expectations, models of relationships, emotional tendencies, and general outlook. The brain preferentially reacts to unpleasant experiences. So even when you experience more positive situations than negative ones, the negative implicit memories will increase more quickly. The solution is not to stop having negative experiences, but to foster positive experiences and find ways to make them permanent. It is possible to do this in 3 steps. Turn positive facts into positive experiences. Whatever positive facts you find, open up to them and revel in their benefits. Savor the experience. The longer you hold something in awareness and the more emotionally stimulating it is, the stronger the memories trace. Imagine that the experience is entering your mind and body deeply. Stay relaxed and absorb all the good emotions you feel. Remember, positive experiences can heal, compensate for, and even change terrible past experiences. The mind makes connections between any 2 concepts held for a long time, which is why it is helpful to talk about difficult emotions with someone supportive. This conversation allows painful emotions to mix with encouragement. To gradually replace negative implicit memories with positive ones, focus on the positive aspects of your experience while simultaneously placing the negative material in the background. Chapter 7. Relaxation techniques are necessary for a healthy, balanced life. Your body consists of many major systems that control its functioning. With the presence of these systems, it is possible to use the mind-body connection to improve your long-term health. The best way to ensure this is through the autonomic nervous system, or ANS, which is part of the larger nervous system and connected to every other system. Also, mental activities significantly influence the ANS. Remember, relaxing quiets the sympathetic nervous system since relaxed muscles inform the brain that there's no imminent danger. You can reap the benefits of relaxation by initiating it in specific stressful situations and training your body to relax automatically. Relax your tongue, eyes, and jaw muscles. If you have 3 to 10 minutes, try progressive relaxation. Focus systematically on different parts of your body, working either from the feet to the head or vice versa. For example, notice the sensations in the bottom of your left foot, or softly say "relax" in your mind as you bring awareness to a body part. You can also inhale and exhale slowly while relaxing. A big inhalation expands your lungs, requiring a big exhalation to bring the lungs back to their resting size. Meditation and mindfulness are also necessary to help you relax and calm your body. You tilt your body, brain, and mind increasingly toward inner peace and well-being when you practice relaxation techniques. Meditation helps with various medical conditions, strengthens the immune system, and improves psychological functioning. Chapter 8. It takes practice and discipline to identify the different balance points in life. The word equanimity comes from Latin roots meaning even and mind. It means that your thoughts don't throw you off balance. The brain's ancient circuitry continually drives you to react one way or another, and equanimity is your circuit breaker. Equanimity breaks the chain of suffering by neutralizing your reactions to intense feelings. Psychologists have a term, demand characteristics, for the aspects of situations that pull at you, like a doorbell ringing or someone reaching out his hand to shake yours. Equanimity doesn't mean you have to be indifferent or cold. It only means that you're not troubled by negative world experiences. Remember, sensitizing yourself to the neutral aspects of an experience will make your mind less inclined to seek rewards or scan for threats. Equanimity means you don't struggle to enjoy experiences. Rather, you're content enough to see every experience to the end. You decide not to respond to any energy-draining situations as well. At first, this might be difficult because the brain will want to do the opposite. But with practice, it is possible. With equanimity, you can deal with situations with calm and reason while keeping your inner happiness. The Dalai Lama. While complete equanimity is an uncommon state for the mind and the brain, a basic sense of it can be experienced in everyday life and developed with practice. Your experiences and emotions do not define you. Not everything is your fault. An important factor is that rewards are fleeting and painful experiences do not last. Keep reminding yourself of the reasons for equanimity. You want more freedom from craving and the suffering it brings. Chapter 9. Relationships rest on the foundations of love and empathy. All meaningful relationships thrive on empathy. Empathy means that a person truly sees you for who you are, and often is all the other person asks of you. You are always able to address other needs as they come up. Being empathetic draws you into the other person's world and enriches you with information that helps you help them. Empathy doesn't dictate that you must agree to everything or approve of everything someone else does. It's an inherent generosity, being willing to be moved by another person. You can exercise your rights and empathize with someone who has a different opinion from yours. As beneficial as empathy is, it might not be present during conflicts and can fade away in relationships that have lasted a long time. Remember, you can deliberately develop, skillfully use, and strengthen your natural capacity for empathy. The first step to showing empathy is to bring conscious intention to being empathetic. Next, relax your body and mind and open up to the other person as much as feels right to you. Keep paying attention to the other person. Be with them. Notice their movements, stance, gestures, and actions. Always check to see if you're on the right track with the other person. Ensure that the questions you ask are not argumentative or aimed at making the other person feel attacked. To receive empathy from others, you need to be honest and present in the moment. People are different, so you may need to ask them directly to be empathetic because they could be unaware of your needs. The more people say what they would like to receive, the more others become sensitive to individual differences. Conclusion. It is possible to be happy in a world as busy as this one. All it takes is a firm understanding of all the things that matter. The most effective way to shape your brain, and thus your mind, is to control your attention. Once you focus on positive things, your mind will notice more of the bliss in your environment. But if you always focus on ugly thoughts, it may be hard to find beauty around you. Mindfulness leads to wisdom, and meditation is the best way to increase mindfulness. It is also important to note that relaxation techniques are essential for growth. Besides its benefits for productivity, learning, and health, meditation concentrates the mind for contemplative practice. Concentration supports deep and liberating insight into both the causes of suffering and the causes of great happiness and peace. The self keeps changing. In the brain, every manifestation of the self is temporary. It changes depending on various conditions, notably pleasant and unpleasant feeling tones. It also depends on the relationships you have with others and yourself. The brain's major activities are making changes in themselves. Marvin L. Minsky. Your brain comprises trillions of molecules, most of which have come from what you've put into your mouth. You can gradually change your brain's components by making small changes in your diet and supplements. As the physical part of your brain improves, you're likely to experience greater physical and mental well-being, and your psychological and spiritual practices will become even more fruitful. Try this. Regularly remind yourself to take deep breaths when you're worried. You can hold your breath for a few seconds and then release it. Also, eat better meals so your body can be healthy enough to cope with your activities. If you can keep a journal to express yourself when stressed.